What's up? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park's interview show. My name is Jed. Wanted to take a moment now that we're 2 months in just to catch everybody up with the idea of the show and the progress that we're continuing to make and the vision of where we're going to get. There are so many different local golf stories. There are influencers, there are clubs, there are groups, there are competitive leagues. There are groups of guys that just love to play together, and they play throughout the community, and they share all of their experiences through social media now. Influencers, today's episode is a great example of someone who got into golf very late in life, and now has already turned it into a career with national golf influencers that he's worked with. And it's a really fascinating story. One of the things that comes along with all of these different characters and stories is vocabularies. And while you're not going to hear anything different today than you would in a rated R movie or out on the golf course at this very moment, there is some profanity, and we're not going to edit it because it's important, I think, that you hear the golf story from the voice that it belongs to. And Mike's story is great. So instead of editing it, what we're going to do is put a little tag on the front of these that are not PG rated. We have lots of content that is, and you can check those out if this is one that you might want to go ahead and skip. And if you're going to stay with us, that makes me excited because Mike's story is a really fun one. So on that note, thank you again for tuning in, and on with the show. Cheers. Hello, Las Vegas, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. I want to thank you for watching and also liking and subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate it. It's growing, and we're starting to find our voice. And on that note, let's just dive right into it. We're going to introduce Michael Bruscino to the show. What's going on, Michael?
What's up, man?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. Michael's another person who is big in the community of golf and social media right now, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes. But since your golf story starts a bit later in life, let's start at the beginning and get a little background on you from the jump.
Yeah. Originally, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Born and raised, and I bleed it to death. Had a kind of a rough upbringing. Wasn't the worst, but it also wasn't the best. So growing up, it was kind of, you had to have a little hustler's mentality and be tough. And the sports I played was definitely baseball. I thought I was gonna be a baseball player growing up. And basketball and football, sports that you could talk shit in and,
Right.
be a little rough or whatever. Times got a little hard in my teenage years, and I kind of took care of myself for the most part.
Well, you actually told me you lost your mom.
Yeah, early,
Right, young.
when I was 14. Even before that, it was a rocky relationship. I had been living with my dad, who had drug problems. So it was kind of always... once she was gone, it was kind of like, all right, cool. Like, my dad didn't give a shit what I was going to do. Right. So for me, school and any type of athletics, not that I didn't love playing sports, but the having to do good in school and showing up all the time to be able to play and practice and stuff like that, that went out the window for me. I also got injured in high school. And so it was kind of like a bunch of things that I was just like, man, I don't need this. And so for me, I wasn't going to go to school anymore. I was done. I didn't think I needed it. I thought that I was going to be able to just go make all the money in the world and be happy and free and do whatever the fuck I wanted. You know
Right.
what I mean? You obviously, you learned quickly that, you're going to have to work your ass off every single day now. It's probably harder than it would have been if you just went to college.
When you went to school.
Yeah.
And you haven't even thought of the game of golf yet in your life.
My dad, I guess he got into it when he was younger a little bit, but never. I don't think the bug ever really truly bit him. When I was maybe 7 or 8, he bought I had these few clubs. I think it was 4 clubs, right? It was a old wooden driver, like an iron, maybe 2 irons and a wedge. And my dad, the one thing I'll give him credit to is he's like the ultimate handyman. He always was. And so he just cut down shafts, re-gripped them for me. And, you know, this is before they had, I don't think they even had really.
That's cool.
I don't think they had kids clubs, you know what I mean?
No, you had to cut them down yourself.
Yeah, so he did that. And then, like, I don't know if you remember back in the day, all the cigarette brands always had, like, the coupons that were bucks, and you can cash them in for whatever.
Right.
So we had this, like, Camel fucking beer cooler thingy, but it was like it looked like a little golf bag, right? So he just made that in my golf bag. He turned it into a golf bag for me, put my 4 little clubs in there, and we played a couple times, and like we went to driving a couple times, but I'm less than a handful of times all day, you know. And I'm not sure if he ever got the bug again or whatever, but that was my only experience with golf, and it just wasn't.
Up until like 4 or 5 years ago,
yeah,
right? So explain how golf comes into your life.
All right, so I actually work right across the street from. Well, I used to when I first moved to Vegas. Let me backtrack real quick, because my story is kind of weird. So growing up, when I'm a teenager, I want to become a rapper. I'm into music. So I moved to LA because I'm like, oh, I'm going to fucking come. Sorry, I cussed already.
That's all right.
But whatever. I'm going to come to LA and I'm going to blow this up. And I actually got into a good position to do it, but things didn't pan out. You know, shit happens.
Yep.
And so I ended up meeting a girl here, and that's what brought me to Vegas, because I fell in love. She's born and raised. I like to call y'all Veganites. But yeah, dude, I fell in love with her, moved here.
So you came to Vegas for a girl?
For a girl.
Got it.
Fell in love with her family. Her cousin was my best friend in LA. That's what brought me to meet her and to come out here. And I gotta say, I absolutely hated Vegas. Could not stand Vegas. When I first moved to California, things were, because me and a friend moved out, like, just on a hunch. Like, he had lived out here before, here and in Los Angeles. And so he was like, look, we got the money, we have a car, we can go do this. We just couldn't get jobs. It was 10 years ago, like 2001, 2002. I'm sorry, 2011 or 12. And we just couldn't find jobs to save our lives. And so he was like, look, man, we can go back to Vegas. I got friends. We can go work at a call center. They'll let us stay at their house for free. We can save up some money, revisit this in like 6 months. And to me, I was like, no, like that means we failed already. I can't do that. We failed, you know? And so I think I had it. It's one of those things, right? Like, and that's something that golf has taught you to like get over things. I had it in the back of my head still of like, even after all those years, like, oh no, if I go back to Vegas, that means I failed.
Right.
So it's like, not that I did fail, like I'm clearly upgrading, you know, I got this beautiful woman and like friends and family around, and I just still, like, in the back of my head, my mind was like, nah, dude, like, you're failing. And so I think I had, like, just a negative thought and view of Vegas at first. So anyways, what I had been doing for my life for the last, like, 7 years prior was audiovisual live production work. And when I came here, I transferred with the same company I'd been working for, and I was working right across the street at the Rampart Hotel, or Casino and Hotel. My boss that came in, he had been maybe a year or 2 into golf, but like fully like
addicted.
Yeah, addicted. Like he would come in, and we had 2 offices. One where like the actual like general manager would sit, and like a couple sales guys, and then we had kind of like our tech office, which was kind of like our storage room, and like, you know, we're fucking off in there and not doing shit. But he liked to hang out with us, because he's like, nah, you know, I don't want to be by them. I want to come hang out with y'all. Because, I mean, his job was to make sure that gear was delivered on time, that we're setting up stuff on time. He didn't really need to be with the other people. So he would come in there, and he'd hop on the computer, and he'd be on YouTube, you know, watching an Eric Angers Lang video, or, like, if there was a tournament going on, he's on golf.com, and he's got it, you know, streaming, and he's, you know, trying to get us all to, you know, come golf with him or whatever. And, like, I think every day, for probably about 6 months, I'm like, dude, turn this stupid shit off.
Yeah.
Like, this is so stupid. Like, and, you know, like anybody, you get into it, he'd be in the office just, like, practicing, you know, his motions and stuff. And I'm like, dude, stop. I was like, you look stupid as fuck. I hate this. And he would be messing with me every day. And he's like, yo, pick up the sticks, dog. Pick up the sticks. And I think one of the things that kind of got me like, all right, let's try this, is because he was very much like me. Like, he was in the hip hop community. He also rapped. He wasn't this like entitled elitist group that you think golf is. And so I think it was like seeing all that was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe this could be cool, right? And then he started showing me stuff like the stuff that Nike has, like the Air Maxes and stuff like that. I'm like, wait. I'm like, they make golf shoes like that? You know what I'm saying? And he's showing me like old videos of Tiger and, you know, a couple other guys that he was into. And then the year that Tiger won the Masters again, a few years back, he's betting all. That's the other thing, is he would bet weekly on golf, and I didn't know anything about it, but he'd win something usually because had a pretty good eye for it. And I'm like, yeah, bet on Tiger, and he was like, nah. He had like Tony Finau and a couple other guys, and I don't know anything about golf. I'm just being an asshole. I'm trying to just fuck with him, you know. And I'm like, bet on Tiger, and then Tiger wins it, and he's like, damn, dog, I should have listened to you. He's like, now you got to go golf with me, man. You got to. And I'm like, all right, man. And so the minute that I even said okay, I was like, maybe, you know. He's on Craigslist, and he's like looking up clubs for me. He's like, look, you can get a full bag for like $120. This guy's selling this, that. I'm like, whatever, I'll think about it. Then we go to Topgolf one night, and you hit one or two good shots, like things that you think like, oh, I want to hit it right there, and you hit it right there, and that feeling of hitting the ball pure. Everybody at golf knows that's what gets you.
You got hooked.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, because Topgolf is fun, it's great, but then you're like, man, I could do this. Like, it can't be that hard. And I've been putt-putting before, right? I'm good at putt-putt. Like, I could be good at this game, you know? And so the next day, come to work, and I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to do it. I was like, find me a bag, but I'm not paying more than $200.
Right.
And he's like, all right. He's like, what brands you want? He's like shooting all these brands at me. I'm like, I want Cleveland clubs, because I assumed they were from Cleveland, Ohio. And he's like, all right. He's like, you sure? He's like, those kind of like old guy clubs. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Cleveland makes a good set of clubs.
They do. And I'm like, I want Cleveland clubs. That's what I want. And he's like, all right. And then he finds them for me, and he finds me a full bag. The bag was Cleveland. The clubs were Cleveland. They were old, like, I forget the name of them, Tour, whatever the heck, from like the early 2000s. And beat to shit, but I was like, whatever. It's like, I was happy, right? I went home and I cleaned them up, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And the bag was fucking heavy, man.
Right.
It was an old bag too, just heavy. And but I'm excited. I'm like, all right, cool. And my girl was like, she's looking at the clubs or whatever, and she's like, oh, I have like nail polish. You could probably recolor the where it says Cleveland and the number and everything. I do that. I'm like, oh, they're looking to me, they're like brand new. Even though if I looked at them now, I'm like, oh god, those are trash. So I tell him, I'm like, I got the clubs, man. Send him a picture. He's all excited because, like, I think anybody that gets in the game, if you don't have friends that are your age and like have the same likes as you, you're gonna get grouped up with guys that are nothing like you. You know what I mean? And most of my golf friends are like 15 years older than me, and if it wasn't for golf, I would never know these guys.
Well, let's get into that a little bit, because now's where it gets really interesting. Yeah. Not only that you start blending golf into your career, but all of these different influencers and people doing groups playing locally. There's a lot going on, and you kind of overlap into a lot of them. So why don't you start with explaining some of your friendships and some of these different groups that you're part of, and then we'll get into Vegas Media House and some other things.
Yeah. So my boss, Joe, who, you know, I don't even want to call my boss because we became friends, you know, definitely through golf, you know. So me and him are like, yo, we could probably like make some videos, because we're watching Eric Engers Lang all the time. Because now I'm addicted, because we went out and played, and then we went to Cloud9 every day after work, or we'd go hit the range, you know. And even on, I mean, he kind of knows, but even on days that were slow, so my walkie would reach from Rampart, I'd come over here and I just hit balls, and if they called me, I'd just run back over. So I'm addicted, whatever. So we've been playing, and you know, I think I'm the first friend that he has that's like every day of the week. He's like, yo, should we go play? I'm like, yeah, I want to go play. Like, let's go.
So you guys are playing all the time.
All the time. And then also Rampart has a deal with TPC Vegas. So as a walk-on at Twilight, we could walk on for $40. So we were there like every couple weeks we're there after work. You know what I mean? Just getting it in. I'm playing courses I have no business being on.
Right.
But I don't give a hell because I'm having fun. So me and him are like, yo, we're watching Eric Engers Lang and all these other guys and Rick Shields and stuff. I'm like, dude, we could probably do this. And he's like, yeah, we should do this. And so we're like, how do we infuse like our love of hip hop into golf and still make it like where both sides can be happy? And we're like, all right, let's still go do some course vlogs. And I think the first one we did was, I want to say it was Sienna or Wild Horse or something like that. I want to say it was Wild Horse because I think they gave us a free round because Darden over there, the greenskeeper, Joe was always in his like DM saying, yo, Wild Horse is looking great. You're doing a good job getting up, whatever. So like he'd always kind of hook us up a little bit. And that was the first video, and it was kind of cheesy and whatever. And we just went out there with our cell phones, and we're just like shooting. And at that point, I didn't know much about editing. I think I feel like I had an eye for it, but I've never done it. So, I download the whole Adobe suite, and I'm, learning how to do this stuff. Just YouTube University, like, how do I do this? Look it up on YouTube? Cool. That's now memory in the mind bank, you know what I'm saying? And so that's how it got going. And, we did a few of those videos, and he got involved with Matt, who's the Breakfast Ball on Instagram. And they started the VGN together, the Vegas Golf Network.
So Breakfast Ball, Vegas Golf Network.
Yeah. And so he was one of like the founding fathers, I should say, of that. And so that's how I get involved with the Vegas Golf Network crew. You know what I mean? And you're meeting all these guys that like there's no chance in hell I would have ever met if it wasn't for the game of golf, right? And you learn things, man. People that are older than you, whether it's just a couple years or 15, 20 years, like I think when you get older, you start realizing like, oh, that's like a bank of knowledge. They're telling you shit not to tell you because some guys are, but for the most part, they're not telling you stuff just to hear themselves talk. They're telling you because they've been in this experience and they want to teach you already. And this was both the golf game and life. These are guys older than me. They're telling me stuff that I should know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what's fascinating to me about your story is that even though you haven't gotten into golf until about 4 years ago, it's taken over your life and community. You're big in the community outreach. Yeah. Talk about all the different golf clubs. So
yeah, from Vegas Golf Network, I meet now like two of my very good friends, Cliff and Gary, and we start. They already kind of had like this Cocky and Lucky golf and social group, right? And it was kind of just like it kind of was a fork in the road. So Vegas Golf Network was like, yo, they want to go down, like, let's do some real competitions. Like, let's get competitive. We want to play good. We want to be good golfers. Let's do this. And still have, like, a fun vibe to it, And that's where, and now they're killing the game, They're doing great. And then this other one was Gary and Cliff, where they're kind of like, they were still involved with the VGN too, but they're like, yo, let's just do this. Gary wants to have this, like, goofy little club where it's kind of like, it's more Caddyshack,
more fun,
more like
laid back.
Dude, we're probably not good golfers, but let's talk shit and fucking still have competitions, whatever. And it was kind of like just show up, it's nothing, Whereas, and I don't mean this to be a notch on the VGN because it's not. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but it was like, yo, we're not putting money up unless you guys want to play a skins game. You're just come and pay whatever the fee is for the thing. You know what I mean? So it's a different
lane.
Different lane altogether.
And all of these are cool like that.
They're cool as hell. And so that got started, and they're like, they want to do a couple little videos and competitions. And how it started was they had member coins that Matt, the Breakfast Ball, made. And they were just Cocky and Lucky coins, and it was he made 13 original members. He was like, if we grow more than 13 people, we'll think about getting more coins. And so they had one little coin that was like really like nice and shiny, and it just had a C and L on it. And essentially every week they would play for that coin. And then they'd talk about that course that they played on a podcast they started. And so I think they just wanted to get one more voice into it. And they reached out to me, and they're like, yo, let's do this shit, right? And I'm like, I'm down. Let's go. And our first match was actually Cloud9. And then I won the coin, and then I said, okay, let's play the putt-putt course, and I'll put the coin on the line already. Because the coin holder's supposed to have it for a week. I'm like, I'll put it on the line already, and I lost it. But then we started, I hopped on the podcast. I think they were like 3 episodes in or 4 episodes in. And we did that for about a year. And this is all like 2020-ish.
I was going to say, are you doing Hidden Greens on your YouTube channel by then?
So what happened was 2020 happened. I got furloughed from my job. And so now I'm like sitting at home, right? And me, my girl, we're living with her parents, and her mom has some breathing issues already. So I was a little more paranoid in the early 2020s to even go out. But we had done a couple Hidden Greens videos. I'm doing the podcast with these guys, and we're doing it remote. So we're just calling in, we'd go play or whatever. And we figured, we're outside, like, it's safe. A lot of times I was still wearing masks on the tee box because we just didn't know.
Sure.
And so, but what really kind of popped off for us for Hidden Greens was the Wynn opened it up to like $200 for locals to come play during the pandemic because they're like, we're not getting no play. We did that. That video did really well. I don't even know where it's at right now. I think like 2,000 some views or whatever. And I was happy with that. And so that's going on. Then I start getting into more of the cocky and lucky stuff, and that kind of takes over. Joe is getting more into the VGN stuff heavy, and it's kind of like Hidden Greens it's like, man, I feel bad because I'm not dedicating enough time, and vice versa. He's got all these ideas, and it's like, I just don't have enough time creatively, so we start veering apart a little bit, and I'm like full force in the cocky and lucky.
Right.
Like, let's do this weekly. We're knocking this out, right? Cocky and Lucky never really gained the traction I thought it was going to. And then
But you guys still played it to this day.
Oh, still.
Yeah.
It's still a group. Like, we still have our little community, you know what I mean? But what happened was, now we're getting near the end of 2020, and I'm starting to get these remote jobs where my company built like little studios inside the link. And so we're doing the same live shows, but we're doing them through Zoom. So these guests are calling in from wherever the hell they're living, and we're running it like a live show, but it's being streamed on wherever they're streaming it, you know what I mean? And so now I'm starting to work more, and near the end of 2020, it's like, okay, real events are starting to happen again. And so now I'm really starting to get back into work, and I don't have, the time that I had during 2020 was like starting to dwindle out. And with it, it made the scheduling, especially like the work I do, there is no set schedule. We know week to week what the business is, because anybody that comes to have a conference or whatever, it's like, dude, it's not like it's going to be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. No, it could be any days, and it could be 4 a.m. You got to be there, and you might be there till 9 p.m. Like, who knows? And so scheduling and stuff made it tough, and that kind of dwindled that out too. It was like, kind of sucked, But nothing happened with the friendship. We still played every week, and we still would have bets and, get on each other's nerves and laugh and have a good time. And then one of the other guys that was in VGN and became a cocky and lucky guy is Robbie, who does the Birdie Chain. And what that is like, none of us are like good golfers, We're okay golfers for average golfers. So birdies don't come that easy.
Birdie Chain is my favorite. Yeah. Robbie's going to be on the show soon. Those guys are coming in, and we're going to talk all about that. Yeah. But they just took the turnover chain idea and just made a birdie chain, and it's
a birdie
brilliant.
Chain, and every time we birdie, it's a shot of Fireball, which I hate Fireball, but I'm gonna take it with the guys. You know what I mean? And so that just made something fun.
Yeah, I love all those guys. But so somewhere around 2021 now, to go back to, do you get involved with Roger Steele? Why don't you tell us a little bit about Roger and what you did with him?
So Joe is actually the one, he sends me, it was before Instagram had Reels, but he sent me like a short video, him and I forget who, I think it was the Sweet Spot Golf on Instagram, did like they were at Whistling Straits or something like that, and it was just like a quick little like very Roger Steele edited video, and maybe Keith might have edited it too. I know he probably shot a bunch of it, and I saw this and I was like, dude, this is what we were trying to do with Hidden Greens. Like, this is exactly, I wish I can edit like this. I wish, like, everything about this little 30-second video.
He's putting content out. Before it was actually...
Before he blew up, he was already, like, doing this stuff, right? And so I'm like, I wish I could do this. Like, how do I capture this little edit where, it didn't even show, like, it showed golf shots, but, like, not, like, the normal, like, boring from the back shot every time. It was just, like, a more, like, intimate up close of, like, his upper body while he's shooting, or, like, him, like, jumping over, like, a bunker to try to see over a hill, and, like, Keith would get the shot and they'd pause. Like, it was just this really dope edit. And I'm like, oh, following all these guys. And right away, I'm like, I hop into his DMs. I'm like, bro, like, one little video, I went through your whole Instagram at this point. You're fucking amazing to me. Like, you're dope. I want to do this stuff, And Roger's, like, very cool dude, and he was very open, thanking me, and he's like, oh, no worries, bro. Like, I appreciate you, appreciate everything you said, yada, yada. And then it just becomes, like, a back and forth, like, thing in the DMs, I liked his stuff, just like, yo, this is cool. And just little comments, you know what I mean? Talking about golf shoes and stuff like that, and, all sorts of whatever, golf things.
Right.
Fast forward to Area 15 opens. Roger is working with 5-Iron Golf. By this point, the video that he had where, you're going to be trash,
right.
That video that really blew up for him, he's popping off at this point. So he was out here for another gig, and 5-Iron wanted him to shoot a video at the 5-Iron location here and talk to Sean, who's the head pro there, and do a couple things. And he hit me up, and he's like, yo, I could use some help shooting tonight at 5-Iron. Are you down to come help? We can meet and whatever. I'm like, hell yeah. He's like, cool, I'll pay you whatever. I'm like, I ain't worried about that. Like, this is a foot in the door. I just want to work with you, you know what I mean? And because in my eyes at that time, it's like, oh, how do we get him on a Hidden Greens video, So I'm like, cool, let me.
What I'm doing now is trying to figure out how to get Roger on this show. So I see you working.
I'll have to shoot him a text. And yeah, dude, so we go out, and the night went amazing. It went good, and he was happy with it. We went and got tacos afterwards and had a long discussion about things, just in general life, and how it brought me here, kind of what we're doing right now. Same thing, just getting to know each other. And even with that video, he's like, I'm gonna send you the stuff on a Dropbox, put an edit together. Let me just see what you could do. And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I go home. I spent like the next probably 14 hours, didn't sleep, and I'm like, I'm gonna knock this video out, right? And so I do like the best edit I think I could do, right? And he's like, he didn't really like it, I don't think. And but he was like, no, there's some good stuff in there, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to change some things, whatever. And because he has to make it cater to his type of content, you know what I mean? And I learned a lot from him, just as far as like the type of shots you need to take, the emotion on people's faces. It's that type of stuff, that personality, like you have to put it in there because people need to see true emotion in person. Like, I don't know, you just have to be able to make a connection with the people that are on screen, right?
Yeah, it's all about stories.
Yeah. And so that happens, and then he has Hype Media, which Hype Media was just multimedia company, and he's doing other work. Like, that's his livelihood. That's what he's making his money on. And so as his influence rises, he needs more help on the editing side of things. And he throws me a couple small gigs that he just doesn't have time to deal with, And, I'm grateful for that because I'm in a situation now where I'm hating having to go back to work every day, especially after 2020. I think a lot of people went through that where it's like, oh, dude, like, I could reach for my dreams and try to do something and not have to deal with this bullshit of coming to work and for what, you know what I mean? And so him throwing me those few little gigs, it was like, cool, man, maybe I could do this. Like, maybe I am good enough to do this stuff. And throughout 2021, that's what it was. Gigs here and there that he would throw me. And then he got invested with this water bottle company called Supplement, who black-owned company, very cool. They're trying to bring just the knowledge of like hydration and how much water you should drink to an inner city and a culture that you don't hear that a lot. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, just, go get a pop. Here's juice, whatever.
No, that's important.
Yeah, it's very
Sure.
important. So he gets involved with them, and we start doing a bunch of little editing things for them. And at that point, he's like, man, he's like, I need a you out here in Chicago. And I thought it over very much, because I'm like, shit, man, like, I would love to be the you for, the you need for Chicago. And, but I'm like, yo, look, I'm tied down here. I'm with this girl I love. We got the fam, we're helping them with the house. Like, I'm just in a situation where, like, I also skipped over one major thing. Golf made me love Vegas, because we have like 60 courses within an hour of where we're sitting right now. So,
well, one of the things that I think is fascinating about you is that you've really only played golf in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a connoisseur, and all of
Yeah.
these groups play all of the courses in town. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we're just trying to embrace. I mean, everybody, we're competitors, but we're all here for golf, and
Yes.
all the golfers in this town play all of the golf courses.
There's
But you are literally a Vegas
like
connoisseur, because that's
100%.
all you know.
100%. I've played. We have some property in Mexico, in Ensenada. I've played at a golf course there a couple times, and then we've gone to Utah like twice. Other than that, outside of Vegas, like Mesquite and like Laughlin and stuff, but dude, it's Vegas. Like, I mean, we have so much to choose from here. It's like, I don't even really need to go anywhere, If I want to play a dirt track, I can. If I want to play something nice, I can. Like,
Yeah.
we have it all.
So that probably brings us up to Vegas Media House, right? And all the people you're working with now. Why don't you tell me, because I know there's a lot there too.
So what ends up happening is, I tell Roger, like, yo, I can't leave Vegas. Like, I'm pretty glued here. Like, I've set my stuff. I just can't see it happening. But Vegas is a hub. I can get anywhere in the world from Vegas. Most of the stuff that I feel like we need to do, we could do remotely. And so he's like, all right. He's like, well, what's it going to take for you to be full-time with me? We work out a number, and I quit my job and I go, and, we work. And I had the opportunity to learn a lot from him, both business-wise and like editing and just capturing the right stuff. We shot at Bandon Dunes. We shot for Birdie Corn Golf, for Toyota, for Youth on Course, for the USGA. I got to do a lot of these things for BB Go, like all these things, these opportunities that he gave me. It was just like, I didn't think life was real.
That's your whole knowledge base, right? Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't real. Like, how am I doing stuff for these companies? Like, I still feel like this little ghetto kid from Cleveland that, like, yo, I shouldn't be doing this stuff. And like when we shot the Toyota commercial, it was me, him, and Aubrey was like our third member of like Hype Media that kind of put it together. And dude, I'm literally like just with a Sony like A7 III on a gimbal, and I'm like hanging out of his car while he drives the Toyota truck, and we're just getting these street shots of me hanging out the car, or like in the back of his truck with the doors open, just like getting these like low shots, like and it came out looking like a professional commercial.
It's fascinating to me, and I feel like you buried the lead when you just glossed over when we shot the Toyota commercial.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's just wild, man. Like, life is not real, and again, it's like, for me, I mean, it might seem small to other people, but it's like, yo, no, golf is giving me this shit. And this isn't even golf stuff, but it's giving, Roger got popular because of golf stuff. I found Roger because of golf, and now we made a connection, and I'm shooting stuff and I'm meeting people that I should never meet, and I shouldn't be in rooms with these people. And it's like, this is just wild to me. And then, he signs with Excel, and he starts working more on his social media stuff, on his stuff, because his influence is like really popping off at this point. And so what happens is, Hype Media, as far as like the actual media work, that starts to kind of dry up, and it's like, well, dude, like, can't pay you to just like kind of sit around. That's how that's how I look at it. And so it's like, cool. It was a very happy split. Like, it's still my boy. Like, I'm not, it is what it is. And he still threw me work, and he still has thrown me work since then. So it's not like no hard feelings. But now we're into 2022, and I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? Because I'm not going back to do this AV bullshit, right? At least not in that sense. And so it's funny because I think that's right around the time that I saw you start doing this stuff, and I was getting ready. I had a whole thing set up for every golf course in the city, okay? And I was going to reach out to every single golf course, and I was going to have a little tier of like different levels of content with a different price per month for me just to shoot the content for you guys for every golf course, and just you take it and you have
Sure, it's a great
full
idea.
rights to it, right?
Yeah.
And I know, dude, like I can make a cell phone look good. I can make whatever camera look good. I felt a little intimidated because I'm like, oh, I don't really have like a nice camera. I kind of still have this like cheap camera that I'm using, and it's not the greatest lens. And I know like I can make it look good, but I don't want to show up to these courses and I'm like, yo, here's a real number that I want, and I'm coming with equipment that doesn't look like I can perform a
Right.
professional thing, you know, even though I know I could. But it intimidated me a little bit, and so I kind of was like, I don't know. And it was one of those things that like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But the Vegas Media House thing kind of evolved from that, where it's like, all right, well, let's make a media company. And Gary from Cocky and Lucky, he's like, dude, let's do it. And he's the one that actually came up with. It was something along the lines of a media house thing that he came up with. And then I was like, oh man, like Vegas, like it was bouncing names, and that's how the name got going. And I'm like, fuck it. At this point, I finally have love for Vegas. Like it's Vegas Media House, and now we go from my idea to like, okay, well maybe we can get back into the social media game. You've learned a lot about it over the last year. Maybe we can go do reviews on courses, and in turn we get some free golf. We put it under the Vegas Media House umbrella and go from there, you know. And that's how that got going. And dude, I've gotten quite a number of gigs from it. And then I did have
Trash Tip Tuesdays. Tell us about that. That's my favorite.
Yeah, so a podcast that me and my girl listen to, one of the people that are on that podcast has another podcast called Trash Tuesdays. And I actually never even seen that podcast, but I just liked the name. It was catchy. And we talked about it before, but when you become the golfer in your family, or if you are the golfer in your family and everybody knows, you start to get, for every Christmas, every holiday, every birthday, you're going to get the gag gifts. Everyone's gotten the little toilet putter and whatever else golf nonsense is out there. It's like, because they see how addicted you are. They're like, oh, they just love everything golf. And it's like, I don't really want this stuff, but, you know, thank you. For one Christmas, one of the gag gifts I got was like 380 tips of how to not be a bad golfer or something like that. And it's just little stupid tips of like, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I watched a video last night and now my swing's all off, you know? And so I was like ringing these ideas around. I'm like, oh man, Trash Tip Tuesdays could be a good idea. Like just a weekly thing where I hop on and I give bad golfers bad advice to try to like, you know, weasel their way out of fucking
It's so
some
funny.
bad strokes. Yeah. And so that's how that got going. And I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to dial back and not do it weekly. I'm going to do it every 2 or 3 weeks now, just because I felt like that's all I was doing was just Trash Tip Tuesdays. And I was like, all right, my feed is trying to get a little just, you know, just Trash Tip Tuesdays all the time. So I'm gonna weave it back a little bit, but I enjoy doing them. They're fun. But yeah, dude, it's like, you know, I hope no one thinks they're real tips. I mean, you could use them all realistically, but
Right.
you know, it's supposed to be a little gag, little SNL type thing where it's like, yo, I'm a bad golfer. I'm going to give you some bad ideas to get out of situations you're in, you know?
It's so funny. Why don't you tell us about a couple of the influencers locally that you're working with now?
Yeah, so I'm working with 3 people. We've created a brand, Dogleg Par 3, with a tiger as our mascot. And, you know, we like it to not make any sense, you know? I don't want it to make sense. But it's me, Gary, Shay, and Terrell, who they're all in most of my content. And we're going to start filming this week, actually, some content where I want it to still be fun and a good time, but I also would like to bring a little bit more like cinematic and nice cuts and good edits and nice coloring to the video. And I want to bring that and mix the two, because I feel like you have all this like content that's out there in golf, but none of it like is like really great. Like I think Eric Angers Lang, what he's done has been the closest thing. Fire Pit Collection, they do a lot of stuff that's like kind of what I want to get on.
Just for notes, last week with J.R. McMichael and Random Golf Club, we talked about Eric Anders Lang, Roger Steele. A lot of these names are going to keep coming back up, but that's where those are all the biggest influencers in golf.
Yeah, and I think those are people that have helped they've paved that difference of like, yo, you don't have to be this type of person to play golf. And I mean, dude, even JR, you know what I mean? He's a minority that shouldn't be in the game, right? Roger Steele, same thing. Like these guys, like they show you that it's like, nah, dude, you can still be cool. You can still be whoever the hell you are, big, tall, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever color you are, whatever background you have. Has nothing to do with who plays the game.
It does feel like golf has taken so long to get there, and we're coming. Tiger started it, right? But I mean, it still had so far to go, it's finally these last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, now you got guys like Schoolboy Q and Khaled and Rick Ross and like, I mean, J.R. Smith and all these other guys who is like, yo, fuck you mean you guys are golfing? You know what I mean? Like that's cool as hell, you know. And yeah, dude. So I forget what your question was. I got a little sidetracked.
No.
But
that's about it. What's some of your favorite things about golf now that you've gotten immersed in it and addicted to it?
Oh man, it teaches you so much. If you thought your mind was strong before golf, you'll learn that it might not have been strong. You know, if your mind was weak before, it could definitely help build that. You know, you're not playing against, I mean, even in competition, you're playing against people, but you're not playing against other people.
Right.
You're playing against yourself. You're playing against the course. And that's what you're battling out against. And it's just, it teaches you so much about life. And I know that might sound corny, and people that don't golf don't understand it. But you have to take whatever your hobbies are, your loves in life, it's the same thing. Like, but golf really does teach you, like, yo, you just bombed one 300 yards down the center of the fairway, and you walk up and you're ecstatic, and then you duff your next shot 20 yards, and it's to the right, and now you're in the rough, and it's like, yo, how are you gonna get past this? You know what I mean? Yeah, you had a great fucking drive, and now it's messed up. So now what are you gonna do? You know, are you gonna overcome this challenge? And then it makes you think too, like strategically, like, okay, you're looking at a par 5 or par 4 or whatever, like, how are you going to play this? Where are the safe areas you can try to hit it to? Because, dude, even like, you know, even good golfers are going to miss their shot, you know what I mean, their landing spot. So it's like, yo, if you're a high handicap like myself, it's like, all right, well,
you still need course management, maybe even more so.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, well, if I can get it to the rough over on the right-hand side, because I know I'm going to hit a fade or a slice, okay, maybe I'll have an easy shot into this green. You know what I mean? Of course, that's when you hook it, but whatever.
One of my favorite things about golf is you've only been in for 4 years, and you already explained the game the way someone who's been a lifer. Yeah. And golf has a way of doing that. Once you get addicted, all of those lessons and things, it is universal. We all have different ways we got into the game, but the game starts to become really universal once you're in.
And I feel like if you have the love for the game, a lot of things I hear from like purists and guys that, like, you know, they don't really like the new wave is, you know, for me, like when I play, I still have like, yo, like I hooped like my whole life. So it's like, yo, when I'm out there hooping, like we're talking shit all fucking the whole time we're playing. And it's not nice stuff either. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when I'm out here with the guys, and that's kind of why, like, with the Cocky and Lucky and the Birdie Chain and all those guys that I'm involved with, you know, and those are my friends, you know. Dude, we're talking shit constantly. And when we have other guys that, like, play with us that, you know, we know them. It's not like we're not going to set up a random guy to come do this with us, but guys that we know that come play with us that, like, are good golfers that, like, you know, they're quiet around the tees and the green and stuff like that. They're like, damn, you guys don't let up on each other. Because, dude, in backswings, we talk about it all the time. Like, dude, when they get quiet, that fucks me up.
Right.
I'm like, why are you not talking shit to me right now? Like, we dog each other the whole time, and it's all about, like, yo, who's gonna keep their mental strength through that and the game of golf.
The Waste Management Open has become so big, right? Because that's the one hole, that's the one time where golf kind of embraces that.
It is.
And there's a reason why it's only growing in popularity. That's the golf tournament so much of the younger generation talks about. That's what they're interested in.
Dude, that's why I know the whole LIV PGA Tour Battle has been a thing. For me personally, it's like, yo, let's put the dirty money aside for a second, and I'm gonna touch on it very quickly in a second, but put it aside for a second, okay? Just what it is. It's technically kind of, you took Waste Management and you turned it into the golf tournament for the whole week, every week that they play. And it's like, yo, there's constantly a DJ playing music. Like, it's a fun atmosphere when you're there live. You know what I mean? I still think that no matter what, golf broadcasting is always going to be boring to me. I have a tough time watching it.
So you don't watch golf?
No. I'll put it on, and it'll kind of be like background noise or something I can look at. Like, if I'm editing, I'll have it on my TV just so I can kind of glance at it. The only time that I'll say I really get into it is when there's guys playing that I know. That's when it's fun. Like,
because you know their story.
Yeah. So, like, a couple weeks ago, Joseph Bromlett was playing the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and I was lucky enough, I know him personally, I was lucky enough to be introduced to him. And so all weekend, I hit him up afterwards, but all weekend I wanted to text him and be like, dude, go get this shit. But I didn't want to jinx him, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's fun in those instances because it's like, yo, like, dude, my boy might win, like,
that's crazy.
This AT&T Pro-Am at Pebble Beach, you know, which is wild. And then, like, Joe Hooks and stuff like that on the APGA Tour. And it's kind of like when you see these guys doing good, it's like, bro, like, when you get to know somebody personally, you're like, yo, like, I want you to do good. I want you to kill it. I want you to win all the tournaments, you know? But back to what I was going to say is I think LIV is kind of bringing the fun into golf. And as much as Tiger and Rory and all those guys and purists are mad at it, dude, they're pushing the PGA Tour to do things that they never would have done before.
Yep.
And to me, that side of things is like, this is cool. Like, I like where it's going. Like, this whole arena thing that they're going to pop off, which they know damn well they didn't come up with that before LIV.
Right.
That was a you know, that was a Hail Mary that they're like, yo, we got to figure something out. I think that could be, like, amazing. Like, imagine, like, arena.
They're going to push each other.
They're going to push each other, but arena where these guys are, like, bringing people in that, again, would have never been involved with golf, are going to go to an arena because they're going to maybe they'll get free tickets or whatever. But now you're going to see guys do shit that you're like, whoa, this can be done? Like, what the hell? And I think it's pushing golf in a more fun direction. You know, some people might not like it. But
no, there's an argument to be made for it.
There is. But, I mean, I feel like once you get into golf, regardless of your lane, dude, we love having loud music on while we're playing, and I love talking shit the whole time, and having a good time and drinking and whatever. But at the same time, yo, I'm still going to respect the rules. I'm still going to respect the history. Like, if you want me to be quiet, I will be quiet. If you don't want me to stand behind you, I won't stand behind you. I'm not going to step in your line. I'm not going to get in your way. I'm going to wait for you to putt out. Like, it's all these things. Like,
it's not a lack of respect for the game. It's just wanting to bring your own culture into the game.
Exactly. And then back to the LIV, like, yeah, it's dirty money, and it's recent dirty money, and that part sucks about it. But I hate the comparison of, like, you know, they kind of like, oh, LIV is dirty money, PGA Tour is not. But it's like, nah. Like, if you think PGA Tour was built on clean money, you're out of your mind.
Right.
And we're talking 60 years ago, guys like JR and Roger couldn't even play on the PGA Tour. They weren't even allowed to play. There's still courses in America where technically blacks and colors are not allowed to play at.
Right.
And so that kind of makes you think.
It's the dirty secret. Sure.
Exactly. And for me, it's like, yo, if we're going to get dirty, we got to get messy all around, you know? You can't just talk shit about this one and not talk about this one. So for me, it's kind of like, it's one of those, like, it's a bad weight shift to be on. And I don't, you know, it's not really great either way you turn it. I'm just happy for what it has become, just on specifically the golf side, you know? Like, however they're trying to clean their money for the Saudis, like, yeah, it's messed up. It is what it is. But for the golf side of things, the way it's pushing the tour, to me, it makes me happy.
I just love hearing all of the different angles and perspectives on it. I think that them trying to introduce team aspects, there's a reason why the Ryder Cup is so successful. It's because it's a team version of the game. Yeah, so LIV trying to get into something like that makes sense. I love the idea of letting them wear shorts. Yeah. I like a lot of the ideas they're playing with about changing the game. But I think one of the most important things about your episode, and thank you so much for coming on, I feel like this is the episode maybe where we're really starting to get voices of a brand new generation golfers. You've only been in the game for 4 years, but you're entrenched in it now and have made it part of your career. And I just think it's fascinating how you're so tied into all of these different things. And it's a new voice, and it's what I want to be nurturing and fostering and building in the community. So thank you so much for coming on. That brings us to the last segment of the show. We call it our Par 5, where we ask the same questions every week. Are you ready, Mike?
So I've been thinking about this. I watched all the episodes.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
And I kind of thought, like, all right, don't want to have my answers pre-recorded in my head, you know?
Oh, okay.
So that's why when you sent me the list last night, I laughed and I'm like, yeah, I got you. And then I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to even think about it. So actually, when you get to these, I turn off the podcast because I don't want to hear the other people's responses.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm going to go back and listen to everybody's now that I've done it, but I want to come in this raw and just kind of like, all right, let's see what comes off the top of my head.
I love this. All right, let's go. That's fun for me. Now I got to remember them in order. Yeah. Okay, question number 1. What's your favorite golf movie?
Okay, so I would say originally it probably had to be Happy Gilmore just because I saw it as a younger kid. Still didn't care about golf. It's a great movie, right? Once I got into golf, Caddyshack definitely kind of took over for me. I love it. I love every aspect of it. Recently, I saw The Phantom of the Open.
I don't even know what that is.
Dude, it's this guy, Richard Flick, I think. I forget. I might be butchering his first name, but he was English or Scottish. I don't remember. So this is back in, I think, the 60s or 70s. Actually, maybe a little bit older than that, where he was losing his job as like a crane operator, and he decided to pick up golf, and he was just gonna like go golf, right? So back then, I guess you could just kind of apply to be in the Open.
Okay.
So he applies, and this is before computers and stuff. And so they send him I guess you kind of got to like write in like, you know, your handicap and all that stuff. And so he writes it in, checks professional, sends it back, and he gets a letter that he's invited to be in the Open Championship. And so he goes and plays, and he shoots the record high. He shot like a 138 at the Open Championship. And they completely like lose their mind because he wouldn't give up. He kept going, you know. And they wanted to kick him off, you know, after, you know, 9 holes or whatever. Right. And so he ends up getting kicked out, and like they try to ban him. And over the next like 20 years, he just never gives up, right? And he's just a goofy guy, and he gets back into different tournaments and championships, and he got into the Open like 2 or 3 more times using like fake names and disguises. One was like Arnold Lemonade and like crazy names, right? And he would just wear like goofy like mustaches and shit, and he would get into a true story, and he would get into the Open, and he never did well.
And it's called Phantom of the Game?
Phantom of the Open.
Phantom of the Open.
Yeah. And it was just such a goofy story. And then I guess in his later years, they actually named a course after him in like Michigan and flew him and his whole family out. Or not a course, a tournament named after him. And they flew him and his whole family out to like, it was like their 10th anniversary. And he didn't even know. They had been doing this for 10 years, a tournament dedicated
to
his
name.
In his name. And
I'm going to have to go look this up now.
It was just such a goofy ass story that like, I'm like, all right, It's up there now, but I mean, I think still probably Caddyshack.
Caddyshack's my favorite, but now I got to look this movie up.
Yeah.
That sounds fascinating. Question number 2: what's your favorite club in your bag and why?
Depends on the day. Whatever's working.
Whatever you're hitting well.
Yeah.
So you don't have a security blanket or something you prefer?
My 3-wood is my security blanket. I will stripe that straight down the middle every time, no matter what I'm doing.
Then why do you ever hit the driver?
Okay, so until recently, I have gone through. When I started getting clubs, this is actually a cool little Vegas story too. I'm gonna make it quick. When Kevin Na won the Shriners, that was the first tournament I went to. Joe, my old boss, my homie, was like, "Yo," I was like, "Who should I bet on?" And he was like, "Whoever you want, man." I was like, "But who's good, man?" He was like, I kind of like Kevin Na because, he's a local guy, so he knows the course, and he might be good. I'm like, all right. So Kevin Na was like, I think like 60 or 80 to 1 odds that he was gonna win the Shriners, and so I just threw like $20.
You bet on him?
I bet on him, and then my homie Joe, I think he put like, $50 on him, and we're sitting there, and we're there the last day, and whatever it was, those 3 overtime holes, dude, I'm like, there's actually shots of us on camera because we were on the other side of the little lake there, and I had like a water bottle, and I just couldn't stop biting it because I'm like, dude, like,
that's intense.
I'm like, this is insane. This is my first tournament I've ever been to. I'm like, this is insane. And it made me hate Patrick Cantley because that's who he was up against in the playoff holes. And I'm just like, dude, this is driving me crazy. And so, because my thing was, if I win, I was like, that's like $1,100. I'm going to go get new clubs. Like, that was my thing. So, and he won. I got new clubs.
You got new clubs?
But I went with TaylorMade because I'm like, who's Tiger playing? That's got to be the best clubs, I go with TaylorMade. So, I've always had TaylorMade drivers. And I've gone from the M6, M5 to the Sims, and I just can't hit them. Can't hit them straight, right? It's always a slice. And even when I do make a good connection, it's still like I got to aim left because I know it's slicing. And I never could understand. I went and got lessons. I got fitted for a shaft. I'm like, what the hell, dude? I cannot stop hitting this as like a big old fade or a slice. And then I just recently, a couple of my friends have old Nike drivers, and I was just messing around hitting them. And I'm like, I hit these a little too straight, even drawing them. And I actually ended up just getting a 2016 Nike Vapor driver that I am like just bombing.
Oh, nice.
With a draw, which is weird for me. So it's slowly becoming my favorite club. But yeah, before that, dude, my drivers just kind of were in my bag for fun. They didn't really get much love. It was 3-wood everywhere.
3-wood. Question number 3. What's your dream foursome? So if you could play golf with any 3 people, alive or dead, and I'm going to start adding to this question, who would you play with and where would you play?
Damn, that's tough. I don't know if I'd want to mix these people. But it'd be a fun day. I'd probably, my dad has also passed away. I think I would have liked to have a round with him as an adult. So probably my pops. J.R. Smith for sure.
J.R. Smith.
I got love for him because of, Cleveland Championship. And then, like, I just love the guy. He's a great dude. And then, oh, man, so many people to choose from. Probably like somebody silly like Rick Ross or fucking Khaled or something, because I just think it would bring a goofy end to the foursome.
Yeah.
And to be honestly, outside of that, like I just want to play with my boys that I always play with. Like that's probably what I'd want to play with. Who I want to play with the most. And then
we get that answer a lot. Just the people that you grew up playing with or the people you play with now. There's a reason why there's that bond.
Yeah. And then. Dude, I think you got to go to Bandon. I had such a magical
Bandon
experience.
Dudes, you mentioned that you were there, but you didn't play it. You were there shooting.
Play. Yeah, I shot for Roger and I forget what it was, Dream Vacations or something like that. But just like the time that we had there, we played all the courses and, you have to walk them. There is no carts.
It's a magical place.
It's truly magical. Like, it sounds so silly, but like when you step on property, it's just like, it's unreal. Everything is so beautiful there and pure, and like everything is just nice. And
yep.
It's a golfer's dream place.
Question number 4. What's your aiming fluid? What are you drinking on the golf course?
All right. I got some concoctions, and it depends on the day.
Okay.
All right. So one thing about Vegas that I'm bad at is I'm really bad at drinking enough water. So I will start my day with a Celsius. It gives me the caffeine that I need without getting me jittery. So I started with a Celsius, and then I'll usually drink like a bottle of water. So like before the course on the range. And then depending how the day's going and how many shots of fucking Fireball I already had.
Right.
I'm either going to go with like Gatorade and water if I'm actually like putting up some decent numbers and I want to like play good. If I'm already at the point where it's like, all right, you might not break 100 today, guy. I'm going with tequila and whatever. It's tequila and Sprite or something like that. Tequila and soda.
Tequila, back when I drank, tequila was my jam. That's the only one that I actually miss.
Yeah, tequila is, that's my drink of choice no matter where I am.
What's your favorite tequila?
All right, it's not a nice one, but I've fallen in love with Hornitos.
Hornitos makes a good tequila.
That's what my girl's dad drunk, so I got into it from that. And then I like Lobos as well. Casamigos is good.
Casamigos makes a good one.
Yeah.
Class Azul. You got to pay for it.
Yes.
But the white porcelain bottle.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
My favorite drink on the planet.
It's just, I don't know why. For me, tequila, I don't really get very bad hangovers from it. I know I can drink it all night and I'm okay.
I'm the same way.
So,
or was.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, I don't know, it's my little safety blanket if I'm going to drink.
That's awesome. Question number 5. This is kind of funny because I'm not going to go back and edit this episode, but
So
normally when I get to question number 5, I tell everybody that we're no longer PG rated, but this is going to, and you know what? I don't mind it. Again, I think that you put it really well when you said that you still have respect for the game, but you're going to bring your own personality and culture into the game. Yeah. There has been swearing in the game of golf since the beginning of time.
Yes.
So and it's time to just let it be known. One of the reasons that I came up with this question is because my father would very, very frequently yell horse shit, right? And that's just a very weird thing to.
Yeah.
It's not a bad word that you say very often, but that was his word on the course. And everybody that plays golf, I feel like, has their things that they go to. So anyway, when you're just having a horrible time on the golf course, what are you saying? What are you doing? Do you have a bad one that you're working on, or that you really enjoy?
Oh yeah. So in case y'all haven't noticed, I have a mouth like a sailor. I automatically, the shot I might not even be done with my shot before I start screaming it, right? But it's always motherfucker. And it's either motherfucking bitch or asshole. And that's just where I go. And then sometimes I know, like, I try not to do it, but I'll be like, oh, you stupid motherfucker. Like, why did you just do that? But I try not to be negative on myself, but, you know, dude, you gotta, I don't know. Like, I know some guys, especially like tour guys and stuff, like, they're always like preaching like, oh, don't talk like that on the course. Man, fuck that. I'm mad, dude. Like, I'm getting it off. So I'm not going to scream it, like, so the whole course can hear me.
Right.
But even if it's just to myself, it's like, oh, you motherfucking bitch. What the hell was that?
No, we were talking about it last week with Full Swing, the Netflix documentary that's come out. They don't edit it, and there's bad language throughout the entire thing on the golf course. Yeah. There's a Joel Damon episode where he's drinking White Claws in between rounds.
That was my favorite episode.
Oh, that's my favorite episode. You know, we both lost our mother young. That one hit me. Joel's story there that hit me. But anyway, that just goes back to we're all trying to be a part of this growing of the game. And our little show is going to be no different. We're going to embrace all of it. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. And
really
also,
appreciate it.
Before we end this, Jed, I just want to thank you because Angel Park to me is like near and dear to my heart. It was the first place I broke 100. It was my first like practice area, and it's down the street from my house. There's 2 courses, beautiful practice areas. It's a dope course park. I love it. But what you're doing is what I think every course should have been doing for years, and it's reaching out to the community, right? And you're making the community even bigger. And I've met people because of Angel Park and because of the community that you're bringing in. Like, I've reached out to Mike and Matt, and I met JR for the first time here.
Yeah, all these guys are starting to overlap now.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, these are like cool people that like you want to work with, or just go have a round with, or just hit the range and have a couple drinks or whatever. You know what I mean? And I think what you're doing is amazing, and it should have been done a long time ago. And
well, thank you.
Just keep grinding and keep doing this, because the community is growing stronger and stronger, and it proves that, you know, you're making the park even better than it was.
It's going to be fun, and it's all of these different people and you who are watching. Let us know if you have a good golf story, or if you know somebody. That's going to be what ends up happening, because all of these people, we start meeting their friends and other people that are constantly doing it. So thank you, and that means a lot. Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in. Want to thank Troon, our corporate management partner. You can visit them at www.troon.com. Their Troon Rewards card is available, and that gets you can build points and play at our sister courses. All of those links are below, as well as all different places that you can find Mike and things that he's doing. So please go and check those out. And again, until next time, hit them straight from your friends at Angel Park Golf Club. Cheers.
Peace out.